Well, everyone, as you know, we took a look at a brand new movie on last week's show called Lieutenant Jangles, and this week we thought we would get the two guys that are responsible for this film on the show to give us a little bit of a rundown about it. So, welcome to the show, guys.
Hey, thanks for having us. It's good to be here.
So, guys, tell us a little bit about where this journey first started with this film, because we know that Kyle and I both loved it, but where did this journey start for you guys?
Far out. This was like 2012, I think, right?
Yeah, it was an inside joke that just grew and grew into this gigantic entity.
Yeah.
So what was the inside joke that started it? Was it just you guys like sitting around and going, hey, would it be cool to make this kind of over-the-top 80s inspired film, or where did that actually start?
Well, it was much simpler than that. Yeah. We did a film for the 48-hour film challenge, and one of our friends was like really bad at acting, and as a joke we gave him an as credit, and the end credits is like Morgan Mackay as, and we're like, Lieutenant Jangles, haha, and then we kept making fun of him for having this new name associated to him, and suddenly the name took on a life of its own without him.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about how it developed from there. Like, did you guys start to come up with an idea of what you could do for a film, or how did that start to generate?
I just kept thinking about Morgan's performance all the time and just like chuckling to myself, and then I started thinking about him in his own action movie. So that's where the idea came from. The only reason I wanted to set it in the 80s is because I didn't want to have like everyone on smartphones and just all this boring technology stuff. I wanted like an old school cop movie. And I just thought like, Lethal Weapon and that kind of stuff, that's what I know. So I'll just keep it in that kind of world, but make it like an exploitation one, which is something I don't think's ever been done. But then after we made the fake trailer, then that whole 80s nostalgia wave just took off, and we're like, oh.
Did that surprise you? Like, when you did the trailer, did it surprise you that the feedback that you got, and then that kind of inspire you to go even further?
Yeah.
Yeah, we knew that what we were working on with the fake trailer was making us laugh, and then we showed it to a big audience at this film festival one of our friends used to run, and like just hearing an entire audience go nuts over the stupid humor kind of like solidified, like, all right, I think we have to like make this bigger now.
Yeah, it was kind of terrifying before we showed it though, because we were laughing about it so hard, but then the night it was about to play and we knew it was coming out, we were both just kind of like panicking, wondering if people are just going to hate it or think it's too stupid. But the reaction was like really good. I got like the biggest reaction.
So to do a little bit of research, did you guys like sit down and just watch a ton of Ozploitation and a ton of kind of 80s action flicks to get some more inspiration, or how did you go about like fleshing the script out and stuff?
80s films, for reference, yes. Actual Ozploitation at the time, not so much.
No. I mean, every piece of media I've ever consumed has, like, inspired parts of the movie in some way. But, yeah, I think we're going through a phase of watching a lot of B-movies and action movies for fun, and just drinking and coming up with jokes and that all sprinkled into the script.
Yeah, because we've been aware of the documentary Not Quite Hollywood that Umbrella Entertainment has put out.
Yep.
But none of those movies featured in it were like that readily available to us, despite how much we like really wanted to see them.
Yeah.
But I think the gimmick of Jangles was like, yeah, whatever our 80s influence was, we then poisoned that with Australian culture. And I think that's what fueled the movie.
So tell us a little bit about the script writing process. How long did that take you guys, like, to get that kind of right mix of 80s action and comedy? Did that take a while to work on the screenplay?
Not really. Like, the actual bones of the story were pretty easy to write, because it's just like every one of those movies has the same beats, the new partner, going through some trauma, and then coming back in full force, and then some police station betrayals, and then a big shootout.
Yep. Okay,
so on a freeze
frame.
So tell us a little bit about the casting. How did you guys go about casting, especially with the new Lieutenant Jangles?
Oh
Yeah, so Morgan kind of wasn't that enthusiastic about actually playing the lead of a big action movie. We'd already known about our friend Matt Dickey, who went to film school with us, but like he didn't really do anything film related once he left. But just to meet him, you have this weird desire to be like, I want to put you in an 80s action film. I do not know why. And we'd worked with him on another friend's little short film, like a cowboy western. And like just hanging out with him on that set, it kind of stuck out to both of us. Like, why don't we get Matt to play this Jangles character and just see what he comes up with? And then turns out he was the third element.
Yeah, that changed the entire concept. Whereas before it was meant to be kind of like Roger Explosion or Danger 5, where it's very stylized and obviously there's a lot of mistakes, like a mic will drop in the shot or something like that. But once Matt got involved, we kind of like had the idea to make it, let's kind of like Team America.
So, tell us a little bit about how Morgan feels about Matt taking that role. Like, tongue in cheek, is he happy with the fact that the role has been passed on to somebody else, or is he a little bit bitter that it's gone to somebody else?
I think it's a bit of both.
Well, Morgan was a producer on the film, so he was on the main production like the first 3 months. So he got to see what the film was becoming as we were filming it. I think in hindsight, he's probably glad he didn't play the lead after all the stuff we got Matt to do.
Yeah. So that's the thing. Matt's just like, he's just up for almost anything. Like, he just will do ridiculous things, but he also comes up with hilarious jokes you never would have thought of on the spot. And there was so much stuff that is in the movie that was invented like a minute before we started filming a scene, or we'd have to go back and change a scene because Matt came up with a joke for it. I think there was a couple of times where you had to reshoot a scene.
So tell us a little bit about that stuff. Like, for our listeners out there who haven't seen the film yet, tell us about some of the stuff that you put Matt through and made him do.
Well, the very first day of the actual filming, he was nude the entire day, basically.
Yeah, we filmed in the shed in like the hottest possible summer, and like he had to do a sex scene that day, but yes, had at night. But during the day, we had the post-sex scene, like the next morning type thing. And it was so hot that he was just like, well, I'll just be naked for this scene. He wore a cock sock, but it just got to the point where that just came off, and he was just strolling around the set, completely naked, covered in sweat, while the whole crew was like dying. But then again, we didn't put him through that. He did that by himself.
Now, I asked
one of the things about...
Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, Matt, like, I guess we put him through stuff, but Matt's also his own force of nature that puts us through stuff. So if he comes up with some crazy idea that includes like action and visual effects, then we're the ones that then have to figure that out technically, just so he can live out that child dream of like, what if I catch a bullet and throw it back at the gun?
So I asked this question as a very stupid, young, naive filmmaker when I was younger who decided that you could shoot a scene with a gun on top of a university and not have somebody call the police. How did you guys go doing some of the action sequences out in the suburbs with guns and prop guns and stuff?
Yeah, this was very much guerrilla filmmaking. Like, a lot of those 80s throwback movies try and capture that 80s essence, but we were just kind of living it. We had no money, so we were just walking around with a bag full of props and just kind of filming stuff on the go. Cops showed up a couple times, I think. Once was when we were doing the shootout with the car chase. Yeah,
the opening shootout, we actually got a permit to film on the street with toy guns. We had like high-vis vests on and witches' cones. But like, there was sometimes we're just out on the street and like, the cops had just shown up once we've put the guns away. And so they were just like, oh, what are you doing? We're like, oh, we're making a cop action movie. Though. Oh, that sounds cool. But if they'd shown up 10 minutes earlier, they'd draw their guns on us because we were waving them around like carelessly.
Another time we were filming at a convenience store, and the cops came to my house like 2 hours later.
Oh, what did they come? Was that because someone? Was that because someone reported you?
Yeah, I think the shop owner did. Even though we spoke to them beforehand, I don't think they really understood us.
No, and plus we had people dressed as 80s thugs, like going into their store and walking out as the shop. Yeah. And I think they were just like, who are these weird-looking characters like coming back in and out of our store?
Yeah.
Now, we have a lot of young filmmakers that listen to this show, so what are the pros and cons did you guys find for doing guerrilla filmmaking? Like, what worked or what would you change next time around?
We have a budget next time.
Yeah.
That's the main thing.
Guerrilla filmmaking's fun for like on-the-spot problem-solving and creativity. If you're like, something's not working, then everyone has to like push their creativity to make the scene still work. But that being said, if we had money and planning, we'd do that next time.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, guys, I guess the next question is, what's going to happen with Lieutenant Jangles now? Like, the film's growing an audience and a bit of a cult audience. Like, can you guys see yourselves doing like a Lieutenant Jangles 2 and a 3 down the track, or what's your plans from now on as filmmakers?
We joked about sequels while we were making the original.
By this point, we joked about an expanded universe.
Yeah.
We had spin-offs and cartoons and toy lines.
Yeah.
But now it's kind of like 9 years later, and I think everyone's kind of moved on, including Matt Dickey.
Yeah. So that's a big thing. Like, I don't know if we could get the gang back together. But, like, that's the big question is what's going to happen now that it's on shelves in, JB Hi-Fi and that. So we're just waiting to see that kind of reaction and see what happens from there.
Awesome. Well, guys, I guess to finish off, what would you like to say to people out there who are going to head into JB Hi-Fi or their local store and grab a copy and sit down and watch it?
Strap in.
Bring beer. Yes.
Yeah, friends and beers. Don't watch it on your own. I don't think.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a solo film.